like to invite Mr. Chuck Henderson to come up to help read the citation and present the award for Congressman Zeliff.
Thank you, Rodney. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight on behalf of Senator Shaheen and to be with President Burke, Senator D'Alessandro, Amanda Osmer, Governor Lynch, and Commissioner Caswell. And here we are to recognize former Congressman and civic and business leader Bill Zeliff with the Ray Burton Public Service Award. I'd like to start by thanking Dwayne Baxter for your commitment to honoring your lifelong friend Ray over these many years and in a way that has benefited many students with the financial support that makes possible their education at Plymouth State University. During my first 4 years on Senator Shaheen's staff, I was lucky to work alongside Ray Burton for what was a tremendous educational experience. He modeled public service in a way that was authentic, powerful, and humble. I have boiled down the gospel of Ray Burton into the 4 ups: show up, listen up, follow up, and speak up. When Jeanne Shaheen was governor, Ray would always end his requests to her with the comment, "May I hear from you?" Follow-up was critical for Ray because you were usually fulfilling a duty to a constituent in need. From Ray, I learned all the proper protocol for ribbon cuttings, groundbreakings, and while I never learned the secret of being 2 places at once or 3 places at once, I did learn that you show up at events not to be seen, but to be available. That allowed people to approach you informally to share their thoughts or ask for help with a problem. Ray always said, carry 3x5 cards and write down these assignments to help people. In public service, we should always strive to be helpers, like Ray Burton, Jeanne Shaheen, and tonight's honoree, Bill Zeliff. Bill and I were both in business in the Mount Washington Valley during the early 1990s recession. He was an innkeeper and I ran Chuck Roast. I had received an order for 19,000 jackets from a large Swiss retailer, and I turned to my bank and the SBA financing, but SBA had never done an export line of credit. So we ran into a glitch. I called on Congressman Zeliff, then a member of the House Small Business Committee, and he looked into it. As an innkeeper, he knew the challenges of a small business, and he knew that as a congressman, he was there to help, and he did. I would like to highlight several important notes about Bill Zeliff and his career. He was a congressman from the 1st District of New Hampshire from 1991 to 1997. He was a trusted advisor to Ray Burton, and they spoke weekly. Bill filling in Ray on the issues of national interest, and of course Ray would remind Bill to remember the people of their North Country. What they both shared at heart was the desire to be the best public servants they could be for the people of New Hampshire. I would now like to read a letter from Senator Shaheen. Dear Bill, I happily joined Plymouth State University and the Raymond S. Burton legacy, your colleagues and your many friends in thanking you for your years of devoted service to the Granite State. This Raymond Burton Public Service Award is a well-deserved honor. We both have warm memories of Ray, a fierce and joyous advocate of the North Country, a caring friend, and a wise mentor, a man whose passion for service brought him to public meetings all across his sprawling district. We both have stories of letters, phone calls, personally guided tours that reminded us to look north. We both served alongside Ray, and that's how I know you understand what an honor it is to receive an award in his name. Ray set a sterling example for all of us in public service and it's one you followed through your 3 terms in Congress and your years as a dedicated advocate for the North Country and New Hampshire's economy. You've worked hard to solve problems and secure help for your constituents. I join a grateful community in thanking you for all you've done and for all you've achieved for the good of others. Congratulations once again, and I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Jeanne Shaheen, United States Senator.
Thank you, Chuck. Accepting for the Congressman is Commissioner Taylor Caswell. Taylor?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I was a staff person for Bill Zeliff, let's see, 30 years ago, down in Washington, D.C. And if you think it ever struck me that I would be here at an event with all these people from the North Country accepting an award for Congressman Zeliff in the honor of Ray Burton, you'd be crazy, because that was just never really anything that I would be expecting to do. I wanted to tell everybody that I spoke with Sidna, his wife, last night, and Bill, old age is catching up, and he wasn't able to be here this evening. He's been in and out of the hospital recently, but he is continuing on strong. And all the things that Chuck said about Bill, I would absolutely echo. When we worked for Bill, there's a small group of us here who are former staffers of Bill's here tonight. It was drilled into our heads that number one was constituent service. If somebody called, if there was a business in need, if there was anyone who needed anything, that was our number one priority. Legislation was important, coding was important, but the constituent service was number one. We had deadlines on how quickly you had to get back to constituents, and there was a special deadline for a guy who ended his letter with, "May I hear from you?" Ray was constantly writing letters to Bill. I answered many of them myself. And it was everything from what's your policy on some large issue to what about that bridge in Ashland. But many of us, started our career with Bill during those years. And a lot of us, I think, learned very strong lessons from that. And here I am in the position I'm in now, working with businesses in New Hampshire, particularly over the last year, and making really constituent service and serving the people a real highlight for what we do at our department. And it's something that really was ingrained during those years with Bill and, of course, with Ray. And I want to be very careful because I didn't want anything here tonight to sound sad or to sound sort of like Bill's not here anymore, because he is. And so I want to end with a funny story. Because, and I think it really epitomizes some of this. There's a story he used to tell a lot about how when his son Jim was about to get married, Jim's a veterinarian, and his future father-in-law was also a veterinarian. And so he and Bill and Sidna went out to this place in western Pennsylvania, and they met the in-laws, and they were sitting at the in-laws' house on a farm somewhere, and a call came in, and there was a horse somewhere off in some distant field that was had a breech birth coming, and they needed the future father-in-law to rush out there and help the situation. And so the future father-in-law says to Bill, "Why don't you come along?" It's like, "Okay, I'll come along." So they get out there, they race out into the field, and the mare is down, and they're trying to bring the birth out, and everyone's got their big gloves on, and the whole scene, right? The other farmer who owns the horse comes up and says, starts to sort of just start a conversation with Bill. And Bill's job during this whole episode was to hold the tail of the horse. So now you need to imagine this horse lying down, birth being held, lots of unsavory activity going on, trying to bring the birth on, and Bill's standing there holding the horse's tail. And the farmer comes up to him and he says, "Well, there, young fella," he says, "what is it you do?" And Bill says, "I'm a United States Congressman." So I'm honored to accept this on behalf of Bill. He would love to have been here tonight. Thank you.